teachers, students, presenting their ideas of what's worked, what is working, and just general things about education, and sharing it with you today. So like I said, the theme of today is student teaching teachers. We've got 7 or 8 presentations this morning, each of about 6 to 7 minutes long. A variety of topics, and the first one today is Ria Matthews and Carissa from the Sheffield Private School.
Morning everyone, I'm Ria and this is Carissa. We are part of the Year 10 Gifted and Talented from the Sheffield Private School. So our topic today is learning deficiencies and how they can affect student growth. Hold this a second please. Yeah, sorry, just a sec. It's hard. Alright, thank you. So as students, we all have some difficulties with certain subjects. It could be that we are not very suited to the teaching method used, or simply the fact that we need a bit more work on that particular subject. But sometimes there is a deeper underlying meaning. Sometimes it's a learning deficiency. Now, a learning deficiency is a neurological disorder that makes it difficult for people to acquire academic and social skills. Around 10% of the UAE's population has some sort of a learning deficiency. So given this, after all our research, Carissa and I both agreed.
I wholeheartedly agree.
Yes, we both agreed that educating teachers on this might be a bit of help. So we believe that teachers should receive some sort of training on this topic, as well as having a guidance counsellor present in schools across the UAE. There are 2 main reasons we believe this. First off, with proper training, teachers will be able to provide the correct assistance these type of students require and be able to provide the correct work needed. Guidance counsellors always will provide the moral and mental support students need, particularly high school students when they're going through tough times and they just need some proper, clear advice. The second reason is it's very easy to mistake someone who is just shy and who does actually have a learning difficulty. So with proper training, teachers will be able to identify and tell the difference between the two. Like, one of the symptoms of having a learning deficiency is a fear of reading a text out loud. The student may stutter a lot, take long periods of silence, and get a bit fidgety, like they just don't know what to do. This is not necessarily a learning deficiency that causes this. It could be that the language you're reading is unfamiliar to you, or you're just shy and you have a fear of speaking in front of an audience. So for this reason, we do feel that teachers need to have some sort of basic knowledge on the topic. Now, there are many ways you can help students like this after much research by psychologists and educators around the world. One of the most effective ways is by identifying what type of learner the student is. Now, you're either kinesthetic, auditory, or visual, as I'm sure all of you already know. And it may sound like a small thing, but it makes the biggest difference. Splitting your students up according to the type of learner they are and handing them work according to that makes all the difference in their progress as students. For example, I'm a kinesthetic learner, and although I love reading, when I study and I just read, I do not retain information that long, and this reflects on my schoolwork and my tests. But however, when I do actually go and do an experiment or do an activity or involve myself in something, it's clear, it's crystal clear, and I can hold on to that information for a long time. So, to sum it all up, I do believe that teachers need to have some basic knowledge of learning deficiencies to be able to provide the appropriate support. So, I'll pass on to Carissa now. Oh.
I'm going to expound more on what Ria just said.
Yeah, keep going, I'll just put.
Okay, fine. Okay, I'm going to expound more on what Ria's just said by using an example of a learning deficiency. I'm going to use ADHD, which is the inability to concentrate. But ADHD is more than just that. ADHD means that there is a lack of interpersonal skills, that there is an inability to finish tasks, from inane things like films to important things like homework. ADHD also fosters a feeling of inadequacy in students with ADHD because they don't learn like other pupils do. How do we help children with ADHD? There are 3 components. 1, accommodation. Accommodation is what you can do as a teacher to make learning easier for students with ADHD. For example, you use hands-on activities so that there is little space for the mind to wander. You can also use the second component in this thing, which is instruction, the methods that you use in teaching. You follow regimented, goal-oriented plans so that the students know what is expected of them. The last and final component is intervention. That is how you head off disruption in the classroom. You head off disruption by keeping them away from distraction. No matter how much they're going to hate sitting away from their friends, the boost in concentration power is certainly going to help you as a teacher and them as a student. A word that's thrown around a lot with children who suffer from ADHD is the word potential, in the context that they're not doing the best that they can. So I hope that this entire speech helps us to stop talking about potential and start tapping into it. Thank you.
Somebody else? Very interesting. Sharuk and Malvika from the Sheffield Private School also will now come forward.
Hello everyone, so I'm Malvika. And I'm Sharuk, and we're from the 10th grade Sheffield Private School, Gifted and Talented, and today we want to share some ideas with you on flipped learning and conceptual reconstruction. So, but first, Malvika, are you having some stage fright?
No, I'm not afraid of the stage. It's the audience I'm afraid of.
Isn't it funny how the human brain starts working the moment you're born and never stops until you come to speak in public?
All right. So let's start with some statistics then. We learn about 80% from what we experience and discover.
50% of what we see and hear.
70% from what we discuss.
And 95% of what we teach to others. Please bear that in mind as we go along.
So based on these statistics, we've come up with a few ideas that not only for teachers, but also for students.
It will help engage them through active learning because, let's face it, nobody wants to be spoon-fed information and expected to memorize it all, right? Okay, first of all, we address the concept of flipped learning.
Okay, flipped learning literally flips the current model. Right now, we are being lectured in class and take back homework. The flipped learning concept talks about doing homework in class and classwork in home. Okay, this might sound a bit confusing, but it really isn't. This works by watching online lectures, perhaps through sites like Khan Academy, which people say is the future of education. The concept that is currently being implemented is that one size fits all. However, as you all know, that is not the case. Sharuk over here may take 1 go in learning a concept. However, I may take 3 goes. But it really doesn't matter because at the end of the day, we have to master the concept. So just imagine if learning had a play, pause, and rewind button. For all you teachers out there in the audience, we know that irritating feeling of having to repeat yourself over and over again. So problem solved. Next, let's address co-teaching.
Right, so here we take about 10 to 15 minutes at the beginning of a lesson, which is normally 45 minutes long, right? And what we do here in that time, the teacher randomly picks on students to come up and revise with the class what they previously learned. Either through question and answers, through discussion, through graphs, anyway, as long as they show understanding. And what's great about this is that they're not only revising material that they previously learned, they're also teaching the students. And as you remember through statistics, that 95% of what sticks to our mind is what we teach to others.
This is a great way of seeing whether or not the student had actually learned anything last lesson. And co-teaching can act as a way to kind of quiz the students. When we are co-teaching, we would prefer to use reenactments and also infographics. Infographics are basically information made easy. Take, for example, this infographic. Or maybe even this one. It's just information that you can easily understand.
Okay, so this can also be extended in a way that we like to call conceptual reconstruction. Now what this basically is that the student is told in advance by the teacher on what topic they're going to take next. So their homework is to go and research as much as possible about it, so that when they come to class they bring that information with them, and so they're able to rebuild on it and develop it even further. And they're not starting from base zero. Now they can acquire knowledge by modifying prior knowledge. But the question is, how can we assess our progress? Does anyone here know any ways? We'd like some volunteers.
Yes, you? Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
So I think we're adding on that. It's solo taxonomy. Now, it was a relatively new concept to grasp, but what really interested us as students is that it makes you look at your strengths and weaknesses. Solo taxonomy can be integrated in various situations, such as peer assessing, giving and receiving feedback, setting targets, and undertaking research also.
Obviously here, sky's the limit, but the question still remains, how do we use this weird diagram? It's really simple. If the student knows nothing at all, and I mean he's paper blank, nothing, he's at the pre-structural level, which can be avoided through, as we talk, conceptual reconstruction. This leaves him at a uni/multi-structural level where he can now recall basic information, define, recite, and identify things he already knows. And then students and teachers can aim to achieve a higher level of understanding, which we would call relational. And by relational, we mean they can link, they can compare and contrast and explain why certain events happen, which will lead to forming predictions, theories, hypotheses, and ultimately the full understanding of the student to the topic.
So don't be afraid to test these out, because sometimes all it takes is a mini spark to start a large fire. Thank you, everyone.
Hello everyone, good morning. We are from the Sharjah American International Private School from the boys area, and we're representing the Student Council Committee. First of all, our topic today is about social justice, and we'll be concentrating on three main factors to raise awareness for people and in order for teachers to educate to the younger generations. First of all, we'll start with a video. One of our students in the committee created. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it today, so maybe from the video you could get a glimpse of what we will present afterwards. I hope you enjoy.
Alright, good morning everybody. We hope you enjoyed that video. Alright, my name is Camille. I am accompanied by my colleagues Hisham, Hamad and Faisal, and we are here today to bring awareness on what is perhaps one of the most important subjects in our world today. Now, this issue of course is social justice. Now, if social injustice is allowed to go on without stopping it, it will definitely cause devastation all around it and could potentially lead to the downfall of our society. Now, you might be asking yourself, what exactly is social justice? Now, the term social justice basically implies fairness and mutual obligation, which means that we should all look out for one another, whether or not the other person is given equal rights or given an equal chance to succeed in life. Now, the three main topics of social justice that will be spoken about throughout this whole presentation are poverty, unemployment, and exclusion. Now, since we are living in the globalization era, and we are all becoming more and more global citizens, which means that we belong to this whole world instead of belonging to a specific place or country, we must all really give some thought into social justice and how it is affecting our world. Because if we do not, it would just be ignorant of us to not care about what is happening anywhere else on the globe, because it will affect us at one point in the world. And now my colleague Hisham will talk about the first main point of social justice.
Okay, so first, when does unemployment occur? Unemployment occurs when a person is actively and constantly searching for a job. It is one of the main causes of social injustice. Now we have two types of unemployment. The first type is called performance issues. That usually happens when we have a lack of experience or caliber with the person, which might lead them to be laid off. The next type is going to be the economical issue, which is usually when a company needs to cut off their costs so they decrease the amount of employees and causing them to be retiring earlier. Now we have a lot of causes, and they're way severe. The first cause is that these people might lose their homes, and also that they might not have enough money for their children to be educated, and that they might be in total shock that they cannot even imagine that they have been unemployed. Now, a lot of people might think that unemployed people are the only ones who are facing poverty, but actually this is not true, because poverty, a lot of people are also facing poverty even though they are working. And this takes us to the next point, which my colleague Hamad is going to be talking about now.
Hello everyone. Today I'm going to talk about poverty, which is, I'm going to cover two parts of it, which is what is poverty and causes and effects of poverty. Poverty is a state or condition in which a person or community lacks the financial resources and essentials to enjoy minimum standards of life in their community. Do you know that if you have shelter and food, you're richer than 70% of the world? Poverty is caused by many factors. One of the main is war, which is affecting most of so many parts in the world, which is mainly in Syria. Effects of poverty are like homeless people, starvation, child abuse, illness. We think that poverty is caused by lazy people. People doesn't work, but that's not always true. The Institute of Research on Poverty states the average poverty threshold of a family of 5 is $30,000 in the US. In many parts of the world, teachers live in poverty. The average US teacher gets a salary of $32,000 per year, which is 2,000 above the threshold of poverty. Do you get me? And we're gonna go to the next point, which is Camille's gonna, Faisal's gonna cover.
All right, so I'll be talking about the third main point included in the social justice, the one that affects the most. And I guess this is the one that you could relate the most as teachers. Exclusion, it exists all around the world. It could be large scale, it could be small scale. Large scale, general, it could be like racism around the world. Some regions, they look at, like, if you really have the potential to study a job qualification, many people can't qualify for this job because they don't have the social status. In a small scale, I could say that everywhere, wherever you go, exclusion is seen around you. It could be at home, it could be in your neighborhood or community, or as teachers, it could be in your staff room. People can be excluded. Saying in recent studies on payscale.com, it says in 2010, 65% of teachers surveyed that they have been bullied by other teachers and staff. Now, proceeding to children, the responsibility lies within the teacher's hands. Since young children are so vulnerable, they're easy to manipulate, and they don't have the chance to speak out. People don't listen to them. So it could lead to really bad effects, like severe, for instance, suicide. I personally experienced something which is kind of personal, but I'm willing to share. My friend actually attempted suicide, and he failed, and no matter how angry how long he would be mad at us, we had to seize the moment, because after that, you've lost someone for such selfish acts, because I believe it's really selfish to just take your life away. So this point is to educate, to tell teachers to educate their students on how to be aware of the environment. To conclude this presentation, we want to show you guys to be familiar with your environment and to somehow unite the children's to make a better future in the society. And we hope you learned a lot today, even though we had such a small time frame. And thank you very much.
Teamwork, conceptualize, connect, collaborate, inspire, benefit, project-based learning. Can these words be defined in one? I think yes, they can be summarized by one fascinating concept. This concept is innovation. What is innovation? How does it affect our lives, and how can it change our lives? And last of all, why do we need innovation? Today I'm going to talk about why we need integrated innovation and benefits of PBL. By doing this presentation today, I am trying to inspire or influence you to understand my point and evaluate the importance of the subject of innovation and use it to benefit your class. One way to acquire an active classroom is to use PBL. Do you think innovation is important? If yes, then do you utilize it as a concept and guide someone to walk on this path of different creativity? Think deeper. I was wondering, what have we learned? It's so much about innovation in the past, Wright brothers, Thomas Edison, Graham Bell, but we never learned anything that happened in our generation, our near recent past, at least since I've started school. There has been iPhone, but think, is that radical? Why? Why are we having less innovation than we were having in the past? The reason is because of the complexity and constraints. In other words, difficulty in life is so much, the need of innovation and something new is so much that it naturally drove the culture of innovation forward. Nowadays, because of comfort of today's life, we lack in innovation. Our lives have become business as usual. My next topic is about why should you and how can you understand and put culture into the minds of young ones. Question for parents and teachers. Do you discuss innovation, inspiration, creativity and school at home? Sometimes, but I assume not. Why is innovation being sidelined in a child's life? Parents are forgetting to teach their children the creative aspects of things because of a phenomenon called routine and other stuff like schedule and daily. Schools are in the focus of delivering conventional curriculum and coaching children for good grades are indeliberately not prioritizing innovation.
Now I'm going to say why we need innovation. Why do we need to get over this problem of neglection? This little difference of giving a mind the power to think big and creatively is now required so they can make a difference for a brighter future like our past generations did for us. We are the leaders of tomorrow. Our power of mind and innovation will run the next generations. Therefore, it is vital that we are taught to embrace the change so we can break away from our comfort zones and do something awesome for our world. Teach our children to teach their children, teach their children to work away from this boring cycle of daily life and to work with the inspirational cycle to pass cultural innovation forward. Now I'm going to do a short experiment. I notice these days by people that people not only forget to use innovation but don't discuss it either. Their boring looks to this whenever we talk about this concept shows that these people misunderstand the power of innovation. My cousin, they all had common subjects. They all thought that it's to do something new. For innovation, they said that to do something new. They didn't understand the whole concept of innovation, to embrace change, to understand why we need something new. So they just gave common points. My sister thought inspiration, she is 6 years old, she thought that inspiration is something that gets expired, something that is gone. Therefore, this proves that children don't know what innovation, inspiration, and creativity mean in actual basis. Now I'm going to speak how can we get over this problem? How can we put innovation into children? These days, I highly recommend teachers, parents, and higher grade students to read innovation-based books such as Innovation as Usual and Creative Aspect. For older children, these books may prove inspirational and will bring more clear picture of cultural innovation and benefits. This idea of innovation should be used to explore talents of all ages. Example, a second grade teacher should occasionally go up to her children and give them a short challenge such as, today instead of playing, you will create a game for each other that will benefit you in education and keep you physically fit. Of course, this concept will have to be explained in easier words to them, but you will be truly surprised by the results. Because when children are given scenarios that fit their ideology of fun and excitement, they will work to their best potential and bring out the best results. Other examples that could be used to inspire innovation in middle school is to have open innovation frameworks, have idea design IDT, technology workshops, and also something simple like just introducing the topic and asking us to brainstorm and maybe execute these fascinating innovative ideas. Schools and institutes should search for creativity, such as Explore Vision, an extremely interesting topic which I will further elaborate in my last topic. Now, one extremely useful way of using children's talents and using children's creative innovation is to use PBL, project-based learning. Why project-based learning? We live in a world where knowledge has become ubiquitous. It's everywhere. The easy access of knowledge through technology is changing the way that our society operates and forces us to change the way we deliver education. It's not just to know stuff or master the fundamental skills of reading and writing. Though it still remains important, it is equally vital to own a set of complex skills that are necessary to succeed in today's world, such as teamwork, critical thinking, communication, decision-making, creativity, time management, public speaking, organization, and social behavior. They all hold a debatably high position in today's average life of a child or an individual. That is the primary benefit of project-based learning. It combines traditional classroom knowledge with real-world expertise to prepare students for success. Project-based learning enables children to have greater control over what and how they learn. It gives them a sense of educational ownership and gives them more satisfaction that they are helping themselves learn. They get more one-to-one time with their teacher or instructor so that they can talk more about the ideas and understand the concept. Projects, they show more understanding when they go beyond paper, such as videos, projects, gadgets, multimedia, to add it to the amazingness of project-based learning. There's obviously guaranteed participation and hands-on fun learning. Project-based learning also makes teaching easier for teachers because there is greater student interaction, individual student talents are identified. Example, talent to solve social issues and leadership. And this also helps children to go beyond the classroom, the four walls of the classroom, and get learning resources from outside world. Now I would like to talk about Explore Vision, which is an extremely inspirational science-based innovation website, which is also an competition. This competition is based on projects and new innovative ideas that come from these children. If any of the teachers and parents want to access this website, it's just explorevision.com. And their motto is very relative to my topic today. Today's young minds drive tomorrow's innovation. I recommend schools to join this competition to have a competitive spirit within the school. Also, it seems advisable. A few people gave me this idea for us students to contribute to this Dubai Smart Government Initiative. As children, we should be given the opportunity to help our country with great ideas, so that we have the satisfaction of contributing to our country that we live in. Because all kids care, because the kids, when kids give ideas, they care about possibilities, not about the logical approach to it and how will this idea be executed. Therefore, I say kids' ideas are the purest. Now I'd like to conclude by saying that today's topic of the conference, the exhibition, is what works. I'm here to introduce this topic and to inspire you to use this topic, as well as introduce it to my own school. I say this works. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Just for a few moments, I'm going to ask you to shut your eyes. Think of a teacher who made a difference in your life, an educator that you owe a lot to. You may now open your eyes. It's a tragedy if no teacher came to your mind. For all the others, what do you think is the reason that this particular being sprang into your mind out of the tens or even 100 educators that could have taught you? Could it be their knowledge, the way they shared the knowledge, how efficiently the resources and technology of the time was used? I think for many of you, it's simply how this teacher improved your self-worth eventually, how he or she gave you a sense of belonging. Today, my friends have spoken of innovation, technology, and this is something that will constantly grow and evolve. One thing that may not be so cool to talk about is the value of human connection, relationships, the human need to feel wanted, and the positive difference in society a child who is made to feel recognized can make, and the sad to terrible consequences a child who is not recognized can bring to himself and society. And this is my focus of today. No child left out. And to give it a positive spin, every child included is my dream. In each class, we have children who are left out. And we know the several reasons: disabilities, illnesses, parental and home issues. We know that, but sometimes this can be a cop-out. As a student, I wish for us to be all included in spite of these issues. How is it possible, some teachers may ask? How is it possible to love a student who is a bully? Love a student who barely does his homework? Love a student who disrupts the class? The answer, I believe, is that with teaching our teachers on the latest technology, it would be groundbreaking for the schools to impart on the latest on the science of social emotional skills. For ages, schools have relied on luck, on the chance of a teacher being naturally, socially, or emotionally competent. We need to reduce this chance. Training in emotional skills and developing empathy, compassion, gratitude, and even mindfulness is possible. We may think that these are naturally acquired skills, but research now tells us that these sections in the human mind can be activated through training. For teachers, these skills are imperative not only for improved student learning, but also to help with their own well-being, given the responsibility involved with being an educator. For example, instead of quickly resorting to punishments, teachers with these social emotional skills recognize their students' emotions and have insight into what's causing them, which then helps teachers respond with compassionate understanding when a student is acting out and redirect the student's behavior appropriately. This sort of response promotes caring and supportive relationships between teachers and students, a key to reducing both student behavior problems and a teacher's stress.
Having said that, I do not put weight on a teacher to make sure that every student is happy. However, I do ask our teachers, who we consider our second and sometimes even first set of parents, to love every child, to find something in every child to love. Because when we students feel the security of being loved, we will trust. In my research, I came across a story of a teacher who put in a system of regularly asking each student to write down names of 3 or 4 classmates that they would like to be seated with the following week, clearly informing them that there were no guarantees that the request would be met. She did fulfill some of the requests, but what was the teacher really doing with these results? She was observing them for patterns, such as if there was a child or more in the class who never got mentioned, or if someone had suddenly fallen out of favor. An interesting project for sure, and a heartwarming story of a teacher's love. Hope is worth a lot to a child. Tell us we are somebody, that we have skills, that we are wanted, and that we will get better by the day because we have things to do and places to go. We will become someone who others look up to. Yes, each one of us, even the ones who disrupt, those who bully, we have the capacity to be noticed for our good work. Keep reminding us that, and it will become part of us. I don't wish or expect for teachers to become psychologists to include every child. You don't need to love us all. Sorry, you don't need to like us all. You'll never like us all. But you can love us all. Love for every child is what is needed. And for that, training in emotional skills could be life-changing. Not just for the students and teachers, but for society. Starting with primary teachers, so by the time the students are in high school, the teachers don't have to try and understand too many almost adults' pain in the necks. We may not all have an adult who believes in us, but all of us needs at least one who does. Teachers, we know this job is tough, very tough. But that's why you became teachers, because you are tough, and you can do it. We are depending on you. Thank you.
This whole world is a big mystery itself. From the beginning until the end it lasts, and never can it be wiped away from our minds. Dear teachers, KHDA members, principals, and students, a very good morning to all of you. Okay. Why did this ball drop? In fact, why did it not just float up? Well, now I'm going to tell you a little story. Well, once upon a time, an English gentleman, he went to his garden and he sat down under an apple tree and then he fell asleep. And then he woke up because an apple fell on his head. And he was like, why did this apple fall on my head? Why did it not just float up? Well, that man right here was Sir Isaac Newton. He said that things fall down because of gravity. That's all he said. It was his opinion of why things fall down and why it doesn't just float up. But we still learn in school that about Isaac Newton's theory and in universities as well. But one German gentleman, he was a scientist who settled down in USA, and he worked in Princeton College, and he was none other than Sir Albert Einstein. He said that things fall down not because of gravity. He said that it falls down because of the curvature of space-time. No, space-time is a very complicated mathematical concept used by Albert Einstein. He is also known for his famous formula, E equals mc squared, energy equals mass speed of light squared. And this is a beautiful mathematical formula used by Albert Einstein. Well, now I'm going to talk about a big mystery. It is the expansion of the universe. Okay. Now, I have a question. People say that the Big Bang was what made the universe? Well, where did the Big Bang happen? And why does the universe expand accurately? Scientists built up a theory called dark energy. They said that this universe expands because of dark energy. But it is just a theory. They said that it cannot be detected. They just made it up like that. Well, what I'm trying to say is that no matter how many scientists think of different theories, it is what you must look at. If you think that things fall down not because of gravity, then it's your opinion. What do you think of it? Remember, apart from what I've said before, the true story, the true mystery that rattles many people are the successful stories of aspiring countries, including the one we're living in at this very moment. The aspiring stories of aspiring human beings, like the man behind Windows and the man behind Apple. How could all those people reach the pinnacle from scratch? Well, remember, what you've been and what you're now has no bearing to what you could become. Where you could reach is solely your choice, and it is no mystery. It is what you aspire to be. Thank you.
Okay, that concludes the Mini Spark session for this morning.